You are watching Sammy, the Interviewing Toucan, made possible by the Indiana Young Readers Center. Hey everyone, I'm Sammy and I'm here today with Laura Martin. Hi Laura, how are you?
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. Thanks, Sammy.
It's so great to meet you. So, I love talking to authors. You're a fantastic author from here in Indiana. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection to our beautiful state?
I have been an Indiana girl pretty much my entire life, with the exception of I think a year and a half when I was born that I lived in Illinois. So I used to live up closer to Chicago, but still in Indiana. I was right on the border. And then I came to Indianapolis to go to Butler University for college, and then ended up staying here to be a teacher. I taught in Carmel, Indiana for 6 years. And then I got a book deal to have my first book, The Edge of Extinction series, published right around the exact same time that I had my first baby, my daughter, who is now 6. So I took a break to kind of do the mom thing and the author thing full time, because I believe you can do anything you want, but you can't do everything you want. And I knew I could be the kind of teacher I wanted to be, and also the kind of author I wanted to be, and the kind of mom I wanted to be. Something had to give. So I live here in Indiana. I live in Zionsville, Indiana right now, and I absolutely love Indiana. Actually, my first 2 books, the Edge of Extinction series, are set here in Indiana. As far as I know, there aren't any other dinosaur books set here in Indiana, which is kind of fun. So if you actually look in the front of the Edge of Extinction book 1, there's a map of Indiana where you can actually trace where the characters go, which I think is kind of fun. And if you know your Indiana maps pretty well, you'll recognize the area. And if you pay attention to where my characters in Edge of Extinction travel, it's pretty much between Indianapolis and near Chicago, because that's the route I drove a lot as a college student. So that's kind of why it's set there.
So you drove up and down 65, huh?
Up and down 65 a lot. And so that characters actually travel down 65. It's really fun because I know Indiana so well. It was really easy to incorporate, the animals we might still have after dinosaurs are back and that kind of thing. So my first 2 books are set here in Indiana.
I love that. Well, you and I are two birds of a feather with our love for Indiana, so that's fun. So tell us a little bit more about your work. I know you talked about Edge of Extinction. I have Hoax for Hire here, which is a really fun kind of action-packed book. I've also read Float, which is all about, oh, and you've got them right there. Show us your books. Tell us about your work.
Let me tell you. So my first 2 are the Edge of Extinction series. It's my only series that I have, and the reason there's only 2 books in the series is when I wrote these, I actually only wrote 1 book, and then my publisher had me split it into 2. So that's why there's a cliffhanger ending at the end of book 1. And then I have, like you said, Float. This one is really close to my heart because this is a lot of the stories from my dad's childhood that he used to tell us, and my whole life I've known that these stories were really good. I just didn't know what to do with them. And then I was tutoring, and I asked a student, I said, what would you do if you had a superhero ability, but it didn't work right? And so he started writing her prompt, and I started writing about this kid named Emerson who could float but did it badly. And I walked out of that tutoring session with a half page of paper about this kid named Emerson, but I didn't know what to do with it. So I just gave him all the stories from my dad's crazy childhood about lassoing a pig and setting a lake on fire. And that's where the story of Float kind of came from. Hoax for Hire. Again, I got this idea when I was teaching. I was teaching a book called Tales of the Cryptids, and a cryptid is like Bigfoot,
right,
or the Loch Ness Monster. Okay. And all my kids were super into it. And I said, what if there was one family who was behind all of those hoaxes? What would that look like? And so that's where Hoax for Hire came from. And my most recent book that just came out is called Glitch. I'm really excited about this one because this one kind of checked off some bucket list items for me, you could say. It's my first book I've ever written from 2 different points of view. So each chapter flip-flops between Reagan and Elliot, the 2 main characters. And it's my first time traveling book. Float kind of flirts with time traveling a little bit, but Glitch is all in. And I got to tell you, writing a time traveling book will give you all sorts of headaches because you get into all the rules of time traveling and how that works. So this one's really fun. If you like American history, when they did a review, they kind of compared it to the Magic Treehouse series. So if you're familiar with those, these are about a couple kids who are time travelers, and they're going back in time to save those historical events from other time travelers who want to meddle with history in order to screw up the future. So
oh my gosh.
It's really fun if you like time traveling and also a little bit of historical fiction thrown in there. And then I've got 1 more book in the works right now that is done, that is going to come out in 2021.
Was it kind of a bummer to release Glitch during the pandemic?
It was. It was
Yeah.
kind of a big bummer because I always get to do these really fun launch events at our local library here in Zionsville, and I do some book signings. And my favorite part of being an author is author visits into schools. I love going into schools and talking to kids. I always say it's like the equivalent of being a grandparent. Because as a teacher, I love talking to kids, but my least favorite part of teaching was all the grading. And so I get to do all the fun parts of teaching when I do an author visits and hype everybody up about writing and reading, and then I don't have to grade their papers, which is great. So I don't get to do any author visits this year, which is a really big bummer. It was also kind of a mixed blessing because I have 4 kiddos, and so my youngest kiddo was born in April, and this guy came out at June 1st. So it would have been really tricky to do a bunch of launch events with a teeny tiny baby at home and 4 kids. I guess if there was a year to not be able to travel and not be able to do author visits, the year when you have a brand new baby at home is okay to do it. So it was kind of a mix in some ways, and also it was a big downer because I was so excited to launch this book, and we had all sorts of fun things planned that we had to cancel.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. My goodness. Well, so it sounds like you're just really far along in your creative journey, but where do you feel like you are in your journey and where do you hope to be someday?
I hope I'm just at the beginning of it, honestly. So I feel like I'm doing about a book a year. I would love to be more like John David Anderson, where he has a couple, 2, 3 books come out every year. Someday when I have some more time on my hands, I would love to be that prolific. And I think with some free time, I could do that pretty easily. My hope is that this is just the beginning for me. I have, like I said, one more book that I'm under contract for with HarperCollins that comes out next year. And then we're keeping our fingers crossed that we get another couple book deals. HarperCollins has kind of been signing me on 2 books at a time. So I just turned in my last book. So we'll see. I'm hoping that you guys see a lot more from me because I love this. This is my dream job. This is what I've
Ah,
always wanted to do. And so my hope is that I get to do this for a really long time. My hope is that I can also do some picture books because when I do author visits to elementary schools, a lot of times I talk to like 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. But I would love to have some books that I could talk to with the kindergarten through 2nd graders too. So I have little kids at home. I read picture books constantly, and so that's kind of the next dream of my heart is to do some picture books as well. Now I'm always going to do middle grade because middle grade is my happy place, but I would love to do some picture books too.
oh, I love that. I think that's so fun. And isn't John David Anderson a great guy?
Yes, he actually did a quote for me on the back of Float.
Aw, it's so great. I love it when our Indiana authors stick together. That's so fantastic. So, Laura, how are you doing with the health crisis? I mean, it sounds like you've really been able to find the positive in it, but do you have any advice for others?
It's been challenging, but I think with every challenge you grow as a person of what you're capable of. I would say that reading is the best escape because when you can't physically go places, your imagination can go places. So I know a lot of kids who are reading Float this summer because they couldn't go to summer camp. Just kind of taking one day at a time and not, I feel like worry is one of those things that you can work yourself up about, and then 90% of what you worry about doesn't happen. Sometimes you can really stress yourself out about things that don't even come to fruition. So I would say take one day at a time, try to see the best in things, see it as a moment in history that you can look back on and say, I really learned this about myself, and I can overcome hard things. And that's one of the things a lot of my characters in my books do as well.
Oh, I think that's so great. And I want to zoom back to one of the things that you said earlier. You mentioned that you believe that people can do anything, but they can't necessarily do everything.
You can do anything you want to do, but you can't do everything, especially not well. So you have to kind of pick and choose in your life. What are the things that I really want to pour my time and my effort into? And really get good at those things and let the other stuff kind of fall off to the sides because you can't commit to, you can't say yes to everything. And you can't be the best at everything. So you have to kind of choose what are the things in your life that are super important to you. For example, when I get writing time, I literally have to just like put blinders on and ignore the mess of my house or the laundry that needs folded because that's always going to be there, and just really focus on I have a half hour to get some writing done, and that needs to be the priority. So unfortunately right now in this season of my life, the thing that doesn't get done a lot is the cleaning of the house, but that's
Ah,
okay.
well, we can clean later. I love that. Well, Laura, so I'm inviting all of my authors to share a little something. Do you have something there that you can share with us?
I have a few somethings. So when I do author visits, I always tend to bring my dinosaur friends with me. So here's T-Rex and Spinosaurus. Spinosaurus is the guy who's on the cover of the first Edge of Extinction books. I bring these guys and talk about the difference in them. I also, when I talk about Hoax for Hire, bring this guy. I bring
Ooh,
Bigfoot with.
nice.
Different visits. Here's Bigfoot. And then I actually have two different Loch Ness monsters. So this is what everyone thinks the Loch Ness monster is. But if you look, do you see how his neck isn't straight out of the water? He kind of looks like a snake through a turtle shell.
Yeah.
That's because anytime people picture the Loch Ness monster, they picture something like this. He has his neck out of the water, but if you actually do your dinosaur research, this guy, who is not a dinosaur, he was a prehistoric aquatic marine reptile, his neck couldn't do that. So I always bring both of these guys to show the difference and why the Loch Ness monster pictures that you see where his neck is up out of the water like a swan couldn't actually be this guy. So I have lots of fun props and I wanted to bring for show and tell because I just think dinosaurs. I just really think dinosaurs are fun. They're
Oh,
such
I love it. Very fun. Well, I'm a little nervous about dinosaurs because I'm pretty sure that they would like to eat toucans, but you know, they
I
would.
think you could probably fly fast enough.
I hope so. I hope so. Gosh. Well, Laura, this has been so fun talking to you. I really appreciate the interview. This is your favorite Hoosier Toucan, encouraging you to read local. So long. Bye, Laura.